I like Indiana Ortez is just a woman trying to make honor to what their grandpa and father create in this industry, and I'm trying to. I'm looking for finding my way, and I have the support of my family. So that's that's Indiana Ortiz.
I have a fantastic interview for you all today. Today, we're going to be speaking to Indiana Ortez. She's a blender in the cigar industry, really up and coming, but she's really made a name for herself in just a short amount of time. So let's get to today's interview. Indiana, how are you doing tonight?
Excellent, Antoine, and you?
I'm doing well. Like I said, we were talking before we went live tonight, and it's been a while since I've seen you in person, but you're looking great. And I've we caught up a little bit before, like I said, we went live. So I hear that you have a whole bunch of stuff going on in your life and in career. So I'm glad to see that you're still keeping busy and still progressing.
Thank you, Antoine. Yeah, it's been almost 3 years that I completely disappeared from social media, and it's so nice to have my first official introduction again to social media with you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Like I said, thank you for coming on. For people who don't know Indiana, she is, I would say, one of the most interesting up and coming cigar blenders there are out there. So she's, I know people come to deep cuts from different walks of life and they don't really know exactly how a cigar is made. So there's a lot of work that goes into making a cigar that you kind of buy in a store. And Indiana is like this, master of tobacco that really goes through and figures out, all the little nuances and things that are, need to go into making a good cigar. And she creates that cigar that you're smoking, and she's created some. I'm pretty sure some cigars that a lot of people who are going to listen to this have, like I said, smoked in the past. So I'm excited to have you on and talk about your career in cigars and your experience blending.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been almost 10 years, and since I started this journey in the cigar industry, and with this new with this new with this new decision on the company, or which are gonna be my next step in the industry. I just remember when I start it was because I want to create a blog, and because I always see my dad very passionate about cigars and coming to the house smelling it like tobacco, and I just want to be that girl who smokes cigars and trying to explore that world. So dad takes that request very seriously, and he invited me to join the factory, but start the whole process. So I decided to go and learn the whole process. But at that time, I didn't understand what this road is about and what the industry is about. So I fall in love when one day that I lose the control of my emotion, and the cigars told me that I'm losing the control of my emotion. That day I feel like I'm very good, but in my classes I need to make 100 perfect bunches in order to jump to the rolling side. And I was like 3 months stuck in the bunching because they do not allow me. Those 100 bunches need to be perfect. So even if I'm doing 200 or 300, if there is not 100 perfect, I cannot jump to the next one. So I was in 90 good cigars, and I came out and told dad, like, dad, I just hit my 90 good cigars. So I think that tomorrow it's going to be my last day bunching. The next day I came, I sit down, and I only made 10 good cigars. And I produced like 250 cigars. And I'm like, what's going on with you, Indiana? You are not changing sizes. You are using the same materials. Everything was the same. So I used to came to the factory from 6:30 to 5:30 p.m. When I joined my dad, he said like, so you hit the goal, and I'm like, no, dad, I only made 10 cigars. And he said like, why you didn't tell me? And I'm like, why I need to tell you? And he said like, how do you feel today? And he started asking personal questions. And I said like, I'm feeling good. Now I'm sad because I couldn't jump to the goal. And he said like, well, something is going on with you today because you lose the shape of the tobacco in your hands. And every time that the ranchero asks for that, it's because they have a lot of things going on in their head, and we send the rancheros to the house. So today you make us waste a lot of tobacco. If you will be transparent with me, we will send you to home. And that day I understand that the tobacco is this beautiful thing that just grab my energies and transfer in a good experience. So that was my first experience when I fall in love with the tobacco and understand that what I'm smoking is something that I was be able to create and something that I put my effort and my soul. Well, at that time, it was just learning the whole process and then start the blending thing because I always been curious how the tobacco can evolve with other tobacco and how that can be a good smoke or a bad smoke. So my teacher, which was Fausto Flores, he told me that we only need to concentrate in not have in have a good draw, good construction, and not bitter. So and then later on we have this fight because I get the bitter very quickly than him. So I used to tell all the time like uh, women are more sensitive to the bitter, so it's better that you keep the woman in your tasting panel. And we used to make a lot of jokes about that. So then um, I came back to Aerotabacos and start and that say like, okay, this is it. You are ready, but if you want to join Aerotabacos, you have to know that this is the job that I have, and you will have like 5 or 7 bosses over you, and I do not want any problem from you, Indiana. So because I'm very particular with the quality. So he
Mhm.
advised me like the first complaint that I hear or the first problem that I have from you at Agrotabacos, you will not have a job because you will be every person that joined the factory and is a troublemaker, it's not able to work anymore with us. And here it's not necessary that you are my daughter and I have preference. So 2 weeks after or a week after, I was just checking cigars and looking the cigars that the production was made. And I remember that I'm just start asking like, why you are putting that in that way, or why you are using this wrapper, or it's not supposed that you have to cut that. And they get I guess that they get afraid that the daughter of the owner of the company now is in the factory running and checking the cigars, and 2 weeks later they decided to stop production. So all the production decided that they are not going to keep working until I left the rolling room. So that was my welcome at Agrotabacos. And my uncle at that time handled very, very well. And he said like, she's not going anywhere and she's going to stay. And you have to listen what she is saying because she came from, it's true that she came from the learning process, but he was teach by the owner of this company. So, and we have to respect. Then I start doing the blendings and concentrate more in perfect my own techniques of bunching technique and rolling technique because the rolling technique it was always hard for me.
Mhm.
And I joined Ventura, created blends for Ventura. That was my first time that I hear somebody tell direct to my dad that what I'm doing on social media it was it has value, and it was a very emotional time. So I spent 5 years at Agrotabacos at my father's factory, and at that time I remember that one of my one of my desires it was share with the rest of the people what my family has been doing in the cigar industry because we are the oldest Nicaraguan tobacco family with three generations.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we need to celebrate that. And I feel like that I was called to make that job. But it was hard at that time to communicate. Then I just became like a face of myself and the face of a brand. And it was good at the beginning. I enjoy a lot, but the industry is hard. So I decided to move forward, and then came the opportunity with Favili, with Mombacho at that time, and then Favili. But before that, I have a meeting with my dad, and he say like, Indiana, I think that you are ready to have your own factory. But at that time, I was afraid and say like, no, dad, this is not the time to have my own factory. The only side that I know is just the manufacturer side. I do not anything about managing people, um, payroll, payrolls,
Right.
admin, government, all that stuff. So he say like, and I asked him to give me 2 years. I say like, I'm just gonna need 2 years. I'm gonna keep exploring, and then I'm coming back to you. But then those 2 years, I completely forget about that. And then became the opportunity with Mombacho to move as a general manager. I remember that dad used to make jokes with me like, Indiana, but why they are looking for you as a general manager? And I remember that I just get upset and say like, I'm capable to be a general manager. I'm going for this job, etc., etc. And he say, I'm just advise you, and I want that you be clear, and then I don't want that you feel hurt when something is not working. I'm here for you, for supporting, and I know that you are moving to Granada, so I'm going to be all the time through the phone, everything that you need. Okay, so I moved to Granada. I decided to spend the first 3 months or 4 months meeting all the people. Granada people are very passionate, are very dedicated to what they are doing. They like to learn. They work slow. They put attention. So that was my perfect environment to be in charge. But then the real responsibility as a general manager came on board, and it was trying to get the cost of the cigars, get the how much we are spending here, how much we are spending there. And at Agro Tabacos, I have all the tobaccos that I want. So I was going to the pre-industry, which is owned by my family too, and say like, I want this bale, I don't want this bale. Or if I pick up a bale that I'm not gonna use, so that can use that bale in the other brands, etc. When I joined Favili, it was completely different because every bale that we purchase, I need to use that bale. And then became the rentability when I just purchased a bale thinking in a specific blend, and we were working in three lines at that time, which was Granada line. So it was a roller coaster, but a lot of learning. Then I decided the president at that time decided asking if I can handle the administration. So I say yes, I can handle, and I always don't doesn't I never liked the numbers, so it was a headache. Except that we have at that time, Jared was a global sales, international global sales, and he was always supporting me, but I was a completely mess. I was calling all the time to my older sister about the DGI, which is the regulation for export, for import, and then um, I have to keep going with the production and inspecting the production. Then I realized that one of the roleras that we have at that time, it was very good and very committed with what she's doing, and she knows about tobacco. She was allowed to learn about tobacco, so I request her as a I request to the board if she can be my next production manager, because during like, okay, 3 months I was meeting the team. After those 3 months, I keep like 5 years, 5 months, sorry, supervising the production. So I was inspecting their cigars and meeting their people. It was the best way to explain them to share why I need to make some changes on the blends and why we are going in different directions, and all the things that has to do with blending and the cigar by itself. Um, well, so I have a new production manager. The new production manager, it was very, very good. So at that time, it was three women who handle the production side. So I have a raw materials manager, which is Chilo Mesa. I have a production manager, which was Sochi, and myself. So the three of us used to move all the cigars and know what everything, the direction that we want. Unfortunately, Sochi did not continue with us. She has a better opportunity. And then we at Agro Tabacos, I have a production manager that I used to work closely, and he asked for a job. So we give them a job, and we created this Grenada line that it was produced at Favili, and we feel very, very proud to be able to to create those three blends in a record time. It wasn't not just three blends, because it was three different blends with three different sizes. So basically, it was 9 different cigars that we had to create with different profiles. And that time, it was the first time that I have clear direction in terms of the consumers. So it was like, okay, this is going to be isletas. Isletas needs to be one dot with a lot of flavors, but not strength.
I want
And
to ask you a question. When it comes to Nicaraguan tobacco in particular, what makes it different from tobaccos that are grown in other countries? Like, does Nicaraguan tobacco have certain characteristics that make it unique?
yeah, I feel like Dominican Republic tobacco, they are you can use the Dominican tobacco. They match perfectly with the Nicaraguan tobacco. But the Nicaraguan tobacco used to be very dominant in terms of the blend. So in terms of characteristic, I will not say that it is the strength, because strength in a cigar it's always depend on the blender, or in the blade that the people or the group of people decided to put together, and the quantity of tobacco that you were using. So I remember that I grew up listening that the Esteli tobacco is the strongest one, and the Nicaraguan tobacco is the strongest one. But I found Dominican tobacco that is very powerful, but it's more powerful if I use two leaves instead of one leaf. And other times, Nicaraguan tobacco are very aromatic and has a lot of flavors. So you can found like a huge um, a huge window of flavors in Nicaraguan tobacco. And if you we have Estelí, Condega, Jalapa, and Ometepe, and those four are not the same flavors. So I believe that with Nicaraguan tobacco, you have more options to explore. We can have the same seed, but growing in the different areas, and that tobacco will taste completely different. So in terms of Nicaragua, we have a lot of options in terms of blending. Dominican Republic, they have a lot of varieties that give the different taste, but not too many areas to grow in tobacco. So in terms of Cuba, they have just one specific area to grow tobacco, and that's limit to them. But Cuban tobacco is very floral. Nicaraguan tobacco is not floral at all. So
Okay.
I used to when I work with Psychoser in Nicaragua with the Connecticut Desperada, that Connecticut Desperada wrapper, which came from that we grow in Nicaragua, that Connecticut Desperada gave me like hints of floral, but it wasn't like trying a Cuban cigar.
Do you have a type of tobacco that you enjoy particularly working with, or that you try to work into all of your blends?
Yeah. Well, it was the hardest tobacco to play in the beginning, but my favorite tobacco right now is Condega. So I'm using Condega in most of the blends right now, and that's I think that the tobacco it's allow you to connect with deep emotions. And for me, Condega, we are from Condega. My family, my dad's side, it's from Condega. So my grandpa, he was the first Nicaraguan who worked with the first Cuban who came to Nicaragua, and they came to Condega. They did not came to Jalapa. They came to Condega, and at that time, my grandpa it was like a regular worker, and he learned from this specialist who came from Cuba, and and my dad never leaves Condega. So we have uh, more than 50 years working Condega land. So in my grandpa Ramon Ortez it was the first one who grew rubber in Condega. So during the history of Nicaragua, only place that you be able to grow wrapper and have quality wrapper, it was Jalapa. But like 5 or 4 years ago, my dad and my brother start a project, a small project, in order to grow wrapper in Condega. I remember at that time I used to say like, why you are gonna grow wrapper in Condega if nobody is growing wrapper in Condega? But they say like, well, this is an experiment. Let's see if we can get wrapper. So this time, with this new project that we have, I get back to my grandfather, which is 94 years old, and I'm just start asking, like trying to get all the information, and he say like, well, I remember that I used to grow and get such a beautiful grapper from Condega, from the same farm that Omar Jr. is growing right now. And I say like, really, you get wrapper from there, and then I comment to him. So that's why my dad and Omar are trying to grow again wrapper, and he say yes. Um, that he is excited, but he used to say that right now he do not understand what everybody is doing with the land. It's
Well,
94 years old. Oh,
and you keep mentioning that, of course, your family is pretty big in the Nicaraguan tobacco industry, in particular. Um, we rarely have a person who's grown up in Nicaragua. So, can you just tell us a little bit about what you know? What is it like growing up in Nicaragua? Like, what is that culture like? What is the daily life like in Nicaragua?
well, you have three different areas. The tobacco has three different areas. One is the land, the farm. The second, the farm and the curing barns. The second is the pre-industry and fermentation, and the last process is the manufacture. So my brother has the opportunity to oversee the three areas or have had experience in the three areas. I only have the experience in production. But uh, you have to something or at least something about the pre-industry because in the terms that you are looking for that tobacco, so in the terms of the strength, in terms of the sweetness, in terms of of the aromas, in terms of the burning. So in the manufacture, you have to learn that, but in the pre-industry and in the farm, you you already know what the tobacco will taste without tasting because depends on the way that you're taking care of that seed in the in the bed, in the way that you put in that small plant we call plantula in the soil, in the way that you treat the soil, in the way that you control the plague, and then how the different colors transfer in the curing barn, and it has to be, it's get involved to the humidity that you give that tobacco, that you give that tobacco to the pre-industry. And pre-industry is a completely different process, and they need to listen the tobacco, touch the tobacco, and smell the tobacco, so the tobacco can tell them when the tobacco is ready to move, when the tobacco is ready to move to the different stage. And and then in that process, when it's ready, they will let you know, and it's when I come into the brain industry and smoke those bales. But there is a big process happening before, and I really, so for example, the farm used to work from 6:30 until 3:30 p.m. That's the work time. And the farm usually it's from November until March or May. Then the pre-industry is working the whole year, and it's from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. And the manufacturer is the same hours. So basically, the manufacturer and the pre-industry are working 8 hours or 7 hours per day, and we work from Monday to Friday. But with Favili, I had the opportunity to learn the client service and the tourism, which
Hmm.
was which was beautiful. So there is Favili is located in the colonial city, so we have a lot of tourism, and and it was a completely side of the industry, and it is very surprised how the people appreciate the slow mode when you are doing the tobacco. They really appreciate the culture. They really appreciate that you are taking your time because they understand that you are trying to make your best and trying to deliver their best. So at Favili, we have tours around the mansion, and people just love that process. So at Favili, actually, I had the opportunity to connect with the consumer side to really understand that the value of having a factory is not how many cigars you can sell. It's about how many cigars the consumer can remember, on how many brands they can get back, because they are really enjoying the quality and the consistency of that. But you have to control on a small group, and you have to be there in order that everything can work. So that's that's part.
So, in your opinion, like what makes a good or memorable cigar? Like what qualities must a cigar have in order for it to qualify as good?
Having good and well fermented tobacco, good construction, and that's it. And good humidity. So we have to put attention to the humidity. Every time that I read some reviews about cigars, I'm wondering, did they take the humidity in the cigar? Because when the transition happens in the cigar, and you have to help that cigar. You have to see if it is the tobacco that it's not right, or if it is the humidity that joined that cigar. So I always thinking on the humidity when I read a review, and and right now I do not have problems smoking other brands,
Mhm.
and they taste. Actually, I'm falling in love with Olmecs from Nick Melillo. That cigar is just phenomenal. That cigar is just perfect. And I remember that I grabbed that cigar and it was very good. But I was smoking the cigar in a very humid environment, so I decided to clean the cigar because I'm not gonna underjudge that cigar. And when I cleaned the cigar, it came back to normal, perfect, clean. So and then I see some reviews and say like, oh my god, they forgot to clean the cigar when they were smoking.
That's
It
why,
has changed a lot.
but that's why I think personally that reviews are so weird in the industry because like there is no standard to reviewing a cigar. Like I don't know how it is in other industries like the wine industry or whatever, but in the tobacco or the cigar industry in particular, like when somebody reviews a cigar, it's completely on their scale of how they grade it. Like I don't know if there's a standard, like if everyone's following like the same standard, like like you just said, like make sure you're check the humidity, make sure you're in this condition, make sure you clean your palate before you do it. Then it'll be completely different. So to me, like reviews are always kind of skewed because one person can be doing everything right and another person can miss one or two steps and it completely changes their whole perception or thought about that one cigar.
Yeah, we have to be clear that when somebody is creating a blend or putting a brand out on the market, they are they are choosing that cigar in terms of their palate. So in every palate is different. So it is very very not complicated, very complex.
Yeah. Well, I know you
But
you mentioned.
but in terms of the construction, construction is it's a key. So you can have the best taste, but if the construction is bad, you will not enjoy that cigar. And that is not it's not something that you cannot judge because the construction it is a good construction or it is a bad construction. There is not in the middle. This is a so-so cigar. No.
And I know you mentioned the tourism part. So I know that there's a lot of people who have never been to Nicaragua before. Like, if somebody's planning a trip to Nicaragua, what do you suggest they do? Like, what are some touristy kind of tips that you have for people interested in visiting your country?
So you have two options to land in our country. So you can land in the Managua airport, or you can land in Costa Rica and take a drive for an hour and 45 minutes, and you will be in the border of Nicaragua. Then you are an hour from Granada. So your first stop, even if you came from Costa Rica or came from Managua, you have 45 an hour away from Granada. So Granada is a colonial city. It is beautiful. We have a lake. We have islands there. We have a volcano, a live volcano. So we have Asarte, which is a very good place to go for dinner. We have Numu, which is a new restaurant, like very good restaurant. And the Calzada, you can enjoy the culture of Nicaragua. You will have music on the street. You will feel the hug from Nicaragua from the beginning. Then the next day you can go to the Pueblos Blancos. Pueblos Blancos, you found artesanía like clay and all that. We do not have gardens here. Like we decided to go to a garden. We have nursery,
Okay.
nursery, right? So we have viveros, and but in Catarina, it is the whole small town as a vivero. So every house is selling plants, and you can enjoy the different type of plants. And this is close to Granada. So in Granada, because of the humidity, used to produce and to grow beautiful plants, different to the north. So then you go to Catarina, and if you really enjoy the beach, so you can go to the beach, and the beach is an hour away or an hour and 25 minutes. So you can spend the day in like 10 different beaches and with different type. If you like a lot of people, you have a beach like that. If you like the privacy, you can go a different beach. If you like the woods and a beach too, we have a beach like that. And then when you get tired of the beach, you can take a road to the north. So in the north, I would like that you go and visit Matagalpa. Matagalpa has such a beautiful landscape and a beautiful views. The sunsets are beautiful too. And Matagalpa is cold. It's the one of the coldest area in Nicaragua. So you can go to Matagalpa, and if you like to explore, you can go to Macizo de Peñas Blancas, which is one of the lungs of Centro America. Central America. So uno de los pulmones de Centroamérica. So you can enjoy there. They have a good, very unique hotels, and then you follow that road and you came to Esteli. So it is funny than taking the Pan American Highway. It's better that you take the Matagalpa road. So then you land to Esteli and you have the paradise of the factories. So Esteli is completely work mode. There is a lot of party and there is a lot of good restaurant, but it's work mode. We have two different reservas, which is Miraflor and Pisay. In Pisay, you found them fine, and Miraflor is very cold. The road of Miraflor is hard, so if you like the adventure, you can take Miraflor Road. But if you like very good roads, you can go to El Tisey. If you came to the north, because of course you have to came and visit the factory in Condega, so you stop in Condega. We can have lunch in Condega. The food is we have a very good culture of food. Our food is delicious. Especially my favorite food is gallo pinto, which is rice and beans, because we
Mm.
used to eat rice and beans as a breakfast and dinner. So all the time. And if you want for lunch, you can have it. So, and then you can go and visit. So after Condega, you have Somoto. Somoto, we have a canyon, which we can visit on February. And February is a good time to go there because you walk, you ride a horse, you swim, and walk again. So it's very long, and you can climb and everything. So then we have close to Jalapa, we have spring water. It's just like hot water. How do you call that?
Spring, a hot spring.
Like hot spring. It's just like hot water, but natural
Okay.
water.
Okay. I don't
Okay.
think we. I don't know if we have a special word for it.
Okay, we call that hervideros. So it is like it was with an explosion of a volcano. So there is a natural water, but it's very hot. You can boil some eggs on that water.
Wow.
And they have a specific pool that you can go in, and you have your private pool with the private cabaña, and then you can take the road to Jalapa and enjoy the Jalapa soil. Jalapa is beautiful. Jalapa is it's Jalapa is the border to Honduras. But we are missing a lot of from Nicaragua because we actually have Ometepe Island, which is 2 hours far from Granada, and it's another beautiful place. We have very good options in Nicaragua. I feel like the the environment that we have, the views that we have, the different things that we can do, like 2 hours or 3 hours away, are completely different. The hiking here is free; you can hike whatever you want, and it's gonna be safe. And and yes, the food you can eat, you can eat all over the road, and you will be safe too. Just be careful with the water.
I don't
For
think I
us,
could have
it's
you.
not a problem.
Right. I don't think I can have you on the podcast without talking about the role of women in the cigar industry, because I know you and I have talked about this before. And I hope it's a situation that's getting a little bit better. I know that there's a lot more people, I think from the first time we ever talked about it, which was years ago, to now, there's a lot more people who do recognize women play a humongous role in the cigar industry, whether it's in the production side or the consumer side. So for you, like, are you seeing things getting better for women in the cigar industry, or do you think there's still a lot more that we need to kind of concentrate on and fix?
I think that women are making the decision. I think that more women are joining the industry, and there is less women afraid to show up.
Mhm.
That's the only difference that I see, because let's not let's not say that this is a male industry. It was a male industry because we allowed that it was a male industry, because we were afraid. But it
Mhm.
was not because the man say like, no, this is not for you. This is only for men. At least it was not in my case. So I everything depends on the in the side that you want to play. So if I want to be a victim and say like they do not allow me, they will never allow me, because it's
All right.
yourself putting that that wall there. But if you do not ask and just do it and start doing the job that you clearly think that you deserve or do you want, it's gonna happen. So I don't see that the industry is that there is no women because of a gender. I think that we clearly believe that us as a woman make that difference, not the men. And I want to
Mhm.
be and I want to be clear and I want to be clear because um I don't care if somebody say like you are a woman and you don't know how to smoke. I don't put attention to that. It's just like, well, if that's the point, let me judge you how you are
Mhm.
smoking or what you are doing with your cigars. So at this point, I'm very excited to see that there is more women taking like a more face roles and
Mhm.
working by their family side and trying to make a difference. But the thing was before there's always women working. So and if there is not a woman in a house, so you will have problems. So it's not necessarily that we have women inside of the factories of the whole cigar industry, but they were at home and they were providing what the men want in order that the industry can grow. So if you see, everything is in terms of perspective, and I believe that right now we are going far, and we as a woman make that decision, and there is more women taking that decision. I know that it was a hard line to cross, but when we challenge ourselves and say like, hey, let me try this, we realize that there is no wall. There is no people saying this is not for women. There is not such a such a thing. From my perspective, again.
Well, I think you said a lot of things I can definitely agree with. Um, Usually at this point in the show, I like to ask people, uh, each guest, like the same two questions. The first of those questions is, what is your philosophy? So, is there a philosophy or rule that you live by?
Yes, I need to show up every day to work in order that I can see the fruit of my work and
Great.
believe in God.
The second question is, I want you to finish the sentence. So, Indiana Ortez is.
An apprentice.
Do you want to elaborate on it, or do you want to? go deeper on what?
Yeah, I feel like Indiana Ortez is just a woman trying to make honor to what their grandpa and father create in this industry, and I'm trying to. I'm looking for finding my way, and I have the support of my family. So that's that's Indiana Ortiz, the one who works.
Awesome. Now, like, I know I asked you this before we even went live, but tell people, what are you doing now in the industry, or what you're working on now? Because they always want to know from you,
So
like, what's coming, what can they look forward to, like what's coming next?
so I have my own factory, Casa De Ortez. Casa De Ortez it's gonna be it's it's gonna be the face of my family. We are gonna, through Casa de Ortez, we are gonna celebrate the effort and the hard work of three generations, and with vertically integrated. So we are gonna, in the spring, you will have three different, one brand with three different sizes, which is gonna be called Primavera. So hope you keep looking that. So from the Favili side, I'm still working with Favili. I'm working in their blends and supervising their production. Casa de Ortez will produce in Favili production too, part of the Favili production, and I'm gonna concentrate my efforts to build and grow Casa de Ortez. So you will see me more on the at stores, retailers, and shows.
Awesome. Now, can you tell people how they can keep up with you? So, is there any social media they need to follow? Is there any websites that they need to go to see what you're doing and some of the companies that you work with?
Yes, you can go to www.casadeortez.com and www.favili.com. Those are the two companies that I'm working. And in social media, you can go to Casa Ortez on Instagram and Indiana Ortez on Instagram too.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for sharing your story with us today. Like I said, it's been fun kind of catching up with you, because this has been a while since you and I have had the pleasure of meeting face to face. I was thinking it was probably before the pandemic, so that's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Antoine, for this invitation, and thanks for have this space for the industry in order that we can share what we are doing or so. Thanks for make this space so comfortable and coffee. I really enjoyed the time talking to you and to your community.